All right, so me and Bailey are here on the 2006 Toyota Corolla, and right now we are probed into our fuel injectors. You can see it's a 2-wire. There's going to be a black wire and then a black with a white tracer right here. Our black wire, our white wire, and our yellow wire over here are all going to be our signal back to the PCM. So that's what we're going to be getting our switches on and off.
As you can see, it shows the 4 injectors going into the cylinder head. And then as you can see kind of in the middle there, we do have the fuel send line feeding into the fuel rail, showing that it is actually going to be a returnless system. As you can see, the injector duty cycle is running about 6 hertz, showing that it's every second. At idle, the injectors are firing 6 times a second. And then up here we have our attenuator. It is going to be switched on. That is going to be to help save our system a little bit from any sort of excessive voltage spikes. All right, so with our frequency sitting about 5.8 hertz, showing it to be firing 6 times a second, we can go ahead and rev it. You can see that frequency does actually go up to match the injectors firing more frequently as the RPMs increase.
All right, so we are getting an ohm reading on our fuel injector right now while it is cold and the engine's been off for a while. And you can see it's right at 12 ohms, so it's in spec.
All right, so now we're testing the resistance as the vehicle is hot, and it is sitting above 16 ohms, which is going to be about 4 ohms above specification.
Just recorded the resistance reading for each one of the fuel injectors, and as you can see, they are all within 0.5 ohms and within spec.
All right, so we have a wiring diagram pulled up for our vehicle. Here are the fuel injectors. Like we said before, that black and white wire goes between all 4 of them. It does me the power for that. As you can see, it is also linked to a few other systems, including the ignition coils. And if you scroll across here, you can see that it is powered by the instrument panel and the ignition switch. All right, so now we're zoomed in onto the wave. As you can see, we have a trigger set to repeat in the program. And then with that, we get a little marker. Oh, it kind of disappeared. But you get a little marker that you can move around. And wherever it shows, it'll match the signal to wherever that's showing. In our case, so we can get a little bit, so we can show it more consistently. And then here we have these 2 black dotted lines. These are little time markers. And this bottom section here in the waveform, that's going to be reading just about 2.3 milliseconds, meaning that every time the injectors fire, they're on for about 2.3 milliseconds. A wiring diagram of our fuel pump. As you can see, there's a few different systems tied into the use of the fuel pump, including the park neutral safety switch, the crank position sensor, as well as the ignition switch and a few appropriate relays. We're going to go ahead and unplug our crank position sensor and show what happens to the operation of the fuel pump with it unplugged. All right, so inside the vehicle, underneath the back seat, you can see that there is our fuel pump assembly, and our pump is going to be inside there. And if we go ahead and turn the key on the on position, you should. All right, you can't really hear it the best, but there's a very faint sound of the fuel pump priming.
All right, so now we just have the crankshaft position sensor unplugged, and the fuel pump will not prime. And I'll show you guys right now. Hope you can hear it. Yep, no noise or anything. Keys all the way on, couple cycles, and it'll just crank.